Because I know we've just picked on the contrast between being at a startup and being in that culture and you're growing the company goes, as opposed to being in a culture where the company is very well established and the people there say it. That's what we do things. Don't change it, okay? Like, but then in terms of like adapting to those like different environments from university, like how do you feel you found that most easy? Because I know like we're not all from the most conventional backgrounds going into these industries, and we're not all maybe duplicates of what they would expect people coming to the business to be in. So because it's in such different spaces, I really like to see that or hear and discuss that. How do you feel that transition was going into that environment?
I found that my work ethic was actually too intense to begin with, because towards the end of my degree I was doing like 12 hours a day doing work, and then maybe like 4 hours a day of like doing like being in like lectures, and then sleeping for the remaining however many hours are left, like 4 or 5, and it was so intense. And I started my job the Monday after the Friday that I finished university. Like I went straight in, mostly because I was broke. Like people are like, oh, that's really impressive. And I'm like, I had no money. don't try and make me out to be some like really, no, I was broke, I needed the money. So I started straight away, and I think I brought that mentality with me, that kind of wake up, do work, go to sleep, that sort of thing. And then eventually like I was like working really hard, staying late, and people were like, you don't need to do this. And it was genuinely like adapting to actually being able to breathe and have my evenings and have my weekends back. It was actually really hard for the first few weeks. And so eventually I kind of got it. I'm like, right, I arrive at 9, I leave at 5:30, and then I'm done. And that was just such an amazing feeling, following on from such a difficult few months, like finishing my degree, that actually like staying true to myself kind of meant like just calming down a little bit. Like my enthusiasm hasn't wavered in the slightest, but it certainly has been. Like, I just needed to take a step back and like just kind of calm down. When I'm like, oh, this needs to get done today, and everyone's like, why? And I'm like, it just does, and everyone's like, just do it tomorrow. And that for me was really difficult at first, like just that switch off from like work all the time. But yeah, I think I brought the same attitude to my job that I have to my degree, and I think it shows, and I think people appreciate it, which is nice. So I'll definitely keep that up. But I leave at 5:30 and I don't look at my phone and my emails for like the next 12 hours. It's amazing. And I do that now, whereas before I was like, oh, my emails are replying to people coming back to me being like, go to sleep, and what are you doing? So now I've learned to kind of just calm down a bit. But yeah, so adapting coming out of uni and making sure that I was actually doing what I wanted to be doing, which was relaxing, was really hard at first. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, and I can kind of relate to that in a sense, because I'm currently paralegal in a big international media company, and I feel like when you're in like an environment where there's different time zones and there's different people might be coming on.
You could be doing work 24 hours a day if you really wanted to.
Literally, and I think that's maybe a difference that I experienced, like in terms of understanding that you're not expected to be here till all hours, because if you are, we got plenty of work for you to do.
Or my boss has the attitude, if you can't do your job between 9 and 5:30, then you can't do your job. Like if you need the extra hours, maybe you're not working hard enough in the day. And I like that attitude, like do your job, leave at the end of the day, do your job again the next day, like, rather than I need to work till 11 to finish this. Like why don't you finish at 5:30? Like, so but I feel like that's quite a law firm type mentality when you stay late and you like get it all done.
People live in their offices in these little
it's crazy.
What about you? Like, how do you felt like that?
Again, I can relate to you so much, but I think it's because I don't switch off. As I said, like I have the social enterprise on one side, and then I have work on the other side. So again, it's about, for me, it's been a case of, okay, what do you want to get out of this role, and what do you want to get out of your enterprise? And how can you maximize your time effectively, but then not burn out? Because that's, nobody tells you about burning out when you're at university. It's kind of like, well, you need to work hard.
It's expected.
It's like you need to work hard, you need to get the grades, you need to just work. And so for me, it's a case of my current employer is quite flexible, and they're like, you can work from home. And I found actually, when I'm working in cafes or something, I do my work really well. Like I get a lot more done. So for me, I've been able to identify what makes me productive and what doesn't make me productive. So again, it's not about staying late, because if I'm staying late and then I need to go back in the morning again at 9:30, I'm going to be really tired. So knowing yourself, knowing your body clock, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It goes back to your health for me. It's like a health thing, and also knowing what environment I work best in, and managing my time on my terms, which is something that I'm able to do at this place. But I know that for a lot of people, it's not that way. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. Like, it's not the end of the world. You don't need to get everything done, and communicate with your employer as well about what you want, because I feel like we want to do well, like when we leave university, but we shouldn't feel as though they don't have an obligation towards us as well to develop us. Like, it is a two-way street, and that's something they don't tell you at university. They kind of just make you do the tick box exercise, go and get a job, fulfill all these requirements. Okay, but it's a two-way thing. Your employer should also be filling the few requirements too.
Just so insightful here as well, because I know when you're in these spaces, just leaving university, and because we're all in such different spaces, it's like you always think, my challenge is just my challenge. No one really goes through that, but then you think to yourself, when you have this conversation, you actually realise the amount of parallels that there are in terms of how you approaching the work as if you're approaching university, and then you get in there and then you're like, oh, I'm not too sure if I should be doing it this way because it's not efficient for my work environment. I feel like, oh man, it can be quite challenging. I think another aspect I want to touch on in that state is, how do you go about like building a relationship then, like with people in your workplace as opposed to the university? Because I can imagine not everyone's into maybe the typical drinking culture. Maybe not everyone's into like how we had like ocean on a Wednesday. Not everyone's into that. So how did you go about like building those relationships and in that being true to yourself?
A really good question. I think for me, I don't drink, so I was like, okay, how am I going to navigate this space? What am I going to do? And I didn't want to be that person who doesn't try. At least I was like, okay, first few times, like they'll ask you, we're going to the pub on Fridays, do you want to come along? I'll go. But then I realised very quickly, I was like, it's not like they're getting drunk or anything. I just don't drink. So for me, it's just not the same. I'm not. Like in this, I'm still the same kind of person that I am at work, if that makes sense. I was like, maybe this is not the best way to spend your time, and I'm sure they understand that because they know that you don't drink. So that's one thing, like I think it's really important that you do stay true to yourself. Keep it civil, keep it polite, take an interest in what's going on in the building at work, and make sure that you do have those conversations if you're interested in an event that's going on, or if your managers are starting a new project or something like that. That's how you can build relationships. It doesn't have to necessarily be through socials. Sometimes you might be in a workplace environment where actually they don't do many socials, so you don't actually have that space anyway. So then it's on you to have those conversations about current topics, like really tease out, what are they interested in and how can I contribute, how can I add value to that conversation and vice versa. And I think that goes back to things like, mastering the art of conversation and weirdly enough, networking as well. So it's not always about the social activities. I feel like if you're one of those people who, for whatever reason doesn't drink, you can always tap into other resources and they're there. And I think actually university does prepare you for that, because at uni you're doing the same thing. You're navigating through so many different circles and societies and groups, and you gain those skills. If you wanted to, you would have tried to do that at university, I think. So do what you did at uni, but just understand your audience better. That's what I would say. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Because I found coming into my office, we have sort of, as a company, they've kind of acknowledged that diversity could be better, like they're doing really well, but it could be better. And so I am definitely in a minority, being mixed race, and definitely financially in a minority, coming from a lower end financial background and things like that. So coming into that environment where normally I came into university and there was 100 different people like me, so sitting down on my first day and looking around and being like, oh, okay, so these people didn't grow up in the same environment I did, and they didn't come from the same background, and it's never ever been an issue in the slightest, but it is that sort of feeling of being in the minority for the first time, but also just not trying to hide it. Like I've never tried to sort of pretend that I grew up with a lot of money or grew up with or things like that, because you know there are people who are like that in my office and don't care either way. And you realise this really quickly, like coming up against people who are a bit older than you. Certainly, because at university you only socialise with people who are your age, maybe a couple of years older, a couple of years younger. Whereas now I'm in an office with people who are 20 years older than me, and it's fine. Like I feel like there should be like originally I was really scared to be like, oh wow, I don't want to say the wrong thing to this person because they're above me as a hierarchy and things like that, and they're older than me and whatever, and they've got families and kids and we have nothing to sort of relate to. But do you know what? You sit down with somebody, you can always find something in common with somebody, and I think it was really important in the beginning to in the same way that when you get to university you're just trying to like connect with people, to take that same attitude, and you do still connect with people regardless of race, regardless of age, regardless of family situation or whatever. Like there's still a way to connect with people in that same way, and like it is staying true to yourself and just treating people the way that you would treat any of your colleagues, any of your friends, that sort of thing, and really and getting involved as well and things like that. Because when I first started, after all the stuff that we did at university, I was like, do you know what, I'm going to take a bit of a break from like the activism. I don't know how they call it that, but like I'm going to take a bit of a break from like all the extracurriculars. I'm just going to stay in my lane, just get some work done, blah blah blah. And then ended up like joining our like social responsibility, corporate social responsibility committee when we're like raising money for charities, because I got asked to do that. Somebody came up to me and they were like, we think you'd be a really good fit to join the committee, and I was like, oh amazing, okay, I'm doing that, right, fantastic. And then we started this amazing initiative at work where we're piloting sessions with different people to try and talk about how we're going to bring different types of diversity into our company more, which is really, really interesting. I got asked to be on that too, and I was like, yeah, of course, whatever, great. And then all these other things, and I'm like, I should probably kind of calm down a little bit. And now, so like my kind of jump in attitude has meant that building that network by connecting with people in that way and making the effort to try and find the things that people are doing and really engage with what's going on outside of what's on like in your inbox. That has really helped in terms of like making those connections and still doing everything that I'm really interested in and not pretending to be anyone I'm not just because I'm surrounded by people who are different to me. So yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely about sort of just getting out there and using that same attitude you learn from uni to just kind of connect with people. Yeah, definitely.
I would agree with that as well. I think when you start doing things you're interested in and then you start getting into your own space of work, it really helps just to understand, okay, I'm being myself, I'm doing things that I'm interested in, and now I'm meeting people alongside that have the same interests at heart. I think